Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another episode podcast to talk about our favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals. Huge shout out to the people that are currently in the chat. We got Michael, we got Flying Solo, we got J Dubs, we got Cards Fan, Aspen. What's up, y'all? Appreciate you guys for being here up in foremost. Jake, I see you there as well. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Do me a huge favor, smack up the like button here on your way in, ladies and gentlemen. We have 4 more days, or I guess less than 4 more days, because the kickoff for the Arizona Cardinals versus the New Orleans Saints is set to be at 10 a.m. Arizona time / Pacific time. So we are less than 4 days away from the kickoff. Cardinals versus Saints, opening it up our NFL season to see if the Cardinals can start off 1-0. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Fire emojis in the comments below. Not only that, we got our first NFL game that actually matters tomorrow. Cowboys versus Eagles. And if you're not a fantasy football player, or you don't play fantasy, but you probably don't have a lot of skin. I got some skin in the game here, man. So I'm excited to watch, Cowboys versus Eagles. I'm excited football's back in the air, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we're going to be talking today about the big key matchups that I would love to see today, or sorry, this weekend, right? Cardinals versus Saints. There's a lot of big key matchups that I'm a little worried about. And we did hear Jonathan Gannon speak earlier today as well. I think he actually went live probably about 15-20 minutes ago. I have a clip that I want to dive into about Kellen Moore and how much high praise he speaks on Kellen Moore and what he actually said. If there's any wariness that comes along with it, you can let me know here in the chat. But yeah, we got a good fun-filled show for you guys today. Definitely do me a huge favor. Smack up the like button. Subscribe to AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube, on the road to 18K. Cannot do it without you guys. And another shout out here, real quick, to sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube for the entirety of the 2025 season. Sleeper, using promo code AZSF, gets you a 100% deposit match up to $100. More on them a little later on. But ladies and gentlemen, let's go and dive right into it. Let's talk about Cardinals football, shall we? Man, what a day to be alive, man. What a day to be alive. We already got some predictions here in the chat. We got Nova saying Cards 27-17. We got Ryan just giving us a prediction, flat out prediction of the season, saying 12-5. Woo! Here we go. We got Ghost in the chat, 34-14. That's what I would like to see. I would like to see something like this. We got Steve in the chat. So Steve, he says, let's go Cards 12-5. Another prediction on 12-5. All right. I love it. I love it. I love the predictions. Keep them coming, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get started on this show. Let's first start with the whole Jonathan Gannon speaking to the media earlier this morning, and they were asked about Kellen Moore because Kellen Moore ended up coming out and gave a lot of high praise for the Cardinals defense, right? Now, was it directly to Jonathan Gannon? Was it directly to the Arizona Cardinals defense? Well, whatever it is, right? Kellen Moore was coming out and saying some good, positive things about the Cardinals defense, right? I wasn't actually, I didn't hear it physically, but all I can say is that's usually what coaches do, right? Usually what coaches do. They come out here, speak good, glowing remarks about their team. And let's keep one thing real here, ladies and gentlemen. The Saints fans, the Saints organization, Kellen Moore, that team is going to want to come into their very first home game, and they're going to want to win this game, right? Now, us, Cardinal fans, we know that in this specific state that we are in right now, we got a much better roster on paper than they do, right? But it's any given Sunday. It's any given. You never know what's going to happen in an NFL game. Sundays, Thursdays, Mondays. You never know what's going to happen in an NFL game. Now, I'm not going to come out here as the Saints are going to upset us. No, absolutely not. But you got to be ready to play a football game. That's one of the most important things you got to do when you suit up on Sunday, Thursdays, and Mondays. And this year now, Fridays, because we got a Friday game as well. But you got to be ready to play a football game. You cannot underestimate an NFL team because things can kind of get out of hand if you do allow that to kind of, get into your mindset, right into your psyche. Let's go and dive right into what Jonathan Gannon ended up saying about Kellen Moore after he was told that Kellen Moore spoke very, very highly about this defense and Jonathan Gannon a little earlier this week. This is what Jonathan Gannon had to say.
Saw the other day, Kellen Moore had some serious praise for your defense and kind of the creativity you guys have. Does that mean anything to you to see that kind of praise from?
Not really. I have a high opinion of Kellen. If you go back and look at my track record against him, it's not good, truthfully. He's always had really good offenses. He's very creative. I love it. It makes it really hard on the defense how he calls the game. He's been a couple different stops, and his offense is playing away That's hard to defend. It really is, and not just because he's got good players. Take that out of it. Schematically, he's hard to defend. The pace that he plays with is hard to defend. It puts you on your heels. And he's always been ahead of me. So we got our work cut out for it. Now I'm not calling the game, so it's a little bit different. But I got a high opinion of Kellen.
So, when it comes down to matchups, Jonathan Gannon comes out and basically says that Kellen Moore usually does have the upper hand over him, right? Whenever they're playing, whether he was in the Chargers or the Cowboys or he was the OC for the Eagles, which he was the OC for the Eagles as well. He usually does have the upper hand, at least per Jonathan Gannon. If you look at the track record, it usually isn't good, right? Now, the good thing is that Jonathan Gannon is not calling the game, right? This is going to be a Nick Rallis game. Jonathan Gannon is a straight up head coach. He's going to obviously chime in when he needs to, but he does give the full autonomy and full authority over to Drew Petzing as a defensive coordinator and Nick Rallis as a defensive coordinator. And of course, the special teams guy to coach to do its own thing, right? So it's not good to hear that, Kellen Moore usually has the upper hand when it comes down to them, playing each other. But I really got to take a look at the rosters. Like now I mentioned before, right? It is going to be one of those things where it's like, it depends, right? Depends on what happens, like what game plan and what scheme and who's got the better play calls at that specific moment, right? Because even Jonathan Gannon came out and said that, scheming is very important, man. Scheming the right people up is very, very important. So I don't know. Like I look at this roster for the Saints, and I'm not going to come out here and disrespect. I honestly, and even in my preview video, I said the same thing. They got playmakers. They absolutely do. I'm not going to come out here and say, oh, they're a dog. No, like they're not a dog water roster. They got good players. Alvin Kamara probably being one of their best players on the offensive side of the ball. Brandon Cooks now, yeah, he's getting up there in age. I believe he's like 31 years old, and he's probably going to be 32 by the end of September. But they also got players like, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, right? The offensive line seems to be going through some things like injuries. I don't think they're going to have Taysom Hill, which is their Swiss Army knife. I would be a little worried more if Taysom Hill was playing, but it seems like he's already been ruled out. Their defensive side of the ball, they got some playmakers over there as well, right? Cameron Jordan, obviously a veteran now, but still a good player. Chase Young, former first overall pick. Brian Bresee, right? Kool-Aid McKinstry, as well as Kool McKinstry is probably the biggest one I know on their secondary. Biggest reason as to why is because I really did like Kool McKinstry coming out of the draft. And then obviously the Saints ended up going after him. But the biggest, I guess, key that I would say for their defense is their D line, right? Now, I want to talk about matchups, right? What are going to be some big key matchups in this game, right? I want to see how the Arizona Cardinals offensive line matches up with their defensive line. That's one thing that I'm really, really curious to figure out here. Now, I see somebody here in the chat saying that the Saints game plan is to rattle Kyler Murray, right? And rightfully so, right? What we've been seeing out there is that if you do pressure Kyler Murray, usually mistakes happen, right? And shout out here to Javier. He says, from the Saints' view, they're trying to make Kyler uncomfortable so he can make mistakes. The Saints defense is their strong point. Yeah, it is. It is probably their strong point. I could honestly say their offense is pretty solid as well. The biggest unknown is their quarterback in Spencer Rattler, right? Can he make the right reads? Can he make the fast reads, right? Because the Arizona Cardinals defensive line has been upgraded with Calais, Tomlinson, as well as Sweat, and in a year or two of Darius Robinson. So is Spencer Rattler going to be able to make this offense flow? Because we know what Alvin Kamara can bring, right? We know what Alvin Kamara could bring. This does worry me. I'm not going to lie to you, right? Cameron Jordan, Brian Bresee, right? Chase Young, those guys on the defensive side of the ball. If it is go after Kyler, make him uncomfortable, that's a pretty darn good game plan. That's a pretty darn good game plan. We know we've seen in multiple games, specifically at the end part of the season, when that pressure is put, Kyler doesn't play like Kyler that we know he can, right? When he's clean out of the pocket. So one thing I'm really curious to look at is how this offensive line for the Cardinals, and of course, I'm looking at, Paris Johnson Jr., Evan Brown, Holt, Adams, Williams, to see how they're going to be able to hold up, right, against that defensive line. I think for the most part, will be good. Um, there's some people out there that don't believe the Cardinals had a really good offensive line last year. I think we had a good offensive line. If I'm going to be real, we didn't have dog water. I think we were pretty solid. We were probably somewhere in the top 10, if not top 10, maybe 12 or 13 ranked, in terms of offensive lines. Now, of course, the right side is a little bit of a concern. And when Jonah Williams came back after Beachum, it wasn't the best, but like we had a pretty solid offensive line. How is that going to translate coming into this year, right? Because all the reports that we're hearing about Jonah Williams is he looks better. Isaiah Adams has had a crazy good training camp, and then preseason he's looked pretty solid. For a whole, we already know what he can provide to us. Evan Brown, Paris Johnson Jr. Now, I don't know if the plan is for Will Hernandez to eventually be a right guard and Isaiah Adams gets shifts over to the left guard. I don't know what the plan is there, right? But the best thing that we got going for us is that Will Hernandez will at least be a really good depth piece for us. So I'm curious to figure out how their defensive line is going to do it with our O line. I'm also very curious to figure out what their wide receivers are going to do against our secondary. That's another big point where I'm like, what can potentially be here, right? What could potentially be? Because although I like our secondary, I really do, right? Buddha, Jalen Thompson. It's the cornerbacks that are really, really young that kind of worry me a little bit. Not that I'm like, oh, we need to get a veteran, right? No, throw them to the fire and let them get their bumps and bruises, right? There's a little worriness that comes along with a Max Melton and a Will Johnson, right? I know that Garrett Williams can hold it down. He's seen to be one of the best slot cornerbacks in the NFL in his small career that he's had so far, right? And I know I heard Jonathan Gannon come out and said that we might use him on the outside here and there as well. I'm not sure if that actually comes into fruition. We'll see. We'll see how that all shakes out. But I'm worried. I'm a little worried about the cornerbacks, right? How is Max Melton going to hold up against Chris Olave, or how are they going to hold up against Cooks or Raheed Shaheed, right? When they do go for those big bombs down the field, right? That is one thing that I'm a little worried about. Now, of course, you need time to get those balls, those deep shots down the field, right? If our defensive line, which we absolutely upgraded this last offseason, Sweat, Campbell, Tomlinson, if they can get to the quarterback and not allow him to have time or time to think, we can be in a very, very good situation. We can be in a very, very good situation. It's just, how is this going to look like when the game really matters, right? So far, two big key matchups I'm really looking forward to, right? Their D line versus our O line and our secondary, primarily our cornerbacks. I guess I shouldn't say secondary. I should say cornerbacks. How our cornerbacks are going to shake out with their wide receivers, right? Those are going to be some real, real big matchups for me. Now, another thing, Trey McBride. Are they going to be able to stop Trey McBride? We went toe to toe with arguably one of the best defenses in the league, right? Projectedly, right? The Denver Broncos on a joint practice. We went toe to toe with them, and guess what? Everybody out and their mother said that they couldn't stop Trey. Trey was a beast on its own, and nobody could stop Trey McBride. So I'm not really worried about Trey, but the wide receivers. Are we going to finally be getting a consistent dosage of Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. being on the same page? Well, that's another big key matchup as well, right? Like that's something I'm also going to be keeping my eye on as well, because Kyler Murray, like we mentioned before, this is a big year for him. It's a massive year for Kyler Murray. It really is. A lot of eyes are on him, and I know he knows that as well. I know that the fan base, whether you are pro Kyler or not pro Kyler, and I've actually realized that there's a split, there's a divide amongst the fan base right now, and they're just kind of waiting for this season to end because they're hoping that the Cardinals are a 6-7 win team, and what they want to come to fruition happens, right? Me, no, I want this team to succeed, right? I want this team to succeed, whether people believe me or not. I want this team to succeed. Have I been critical on the current state of the quarterback? Of course I have. I've been critical on every single thing that needs to be critical on. At least that's my opinion on it. Believe it or not. But my thoughts and hopes and prayers and everything is that Kyler Murray can finally get it right this year. And what's getting it right? Playing a clean football game, not making any mistakes, not crashing and burning at the end of the year, right? Those are the big things that I'm looking for from Kyler this year. Now, if he can get us there, then hey, we could potentially be a playoff team. Potentially be a playoff team, but we go as far as Kyler takes us. So going back to these big key matchups, right? The big ones that I'm looking for right now is our wideouts versus their secondary, which I'm looking at their secondary. I don't think there's really anybody that sticks out to me if I'm going to be real. Like, and that's no disrespect to them at all. I do like Kool-Aid McKinstry. I really do. But there's not really any guys on their secondary that I'm like, oh man, we got to watch out for this guy, right? Their defensive line, yeah, I'm a little worried about their D line. They got some good playmakers on there. So, our wide receivers versus their secondary, their wide receivers versus our cornerbacks, specifically the young ones. I mean, they're all young, let's be real, but Garrett Williams is a veteran. At the age of 24, he's a veteran. And then you got our offensive line versus their D line. Those are the big key matchups that I'm really looking forward to keeping my eye on and seeing how this all shakes out, because games are won in the trenches. Games are absolutely won in the trenches. And we got to figure out, is this defensive line that was constructed by Monty Austinfort really as good as advertised, right? Really as good on paper. Now, of course, you can't make a yearly assumption after game one. Of course not. But you do want to see, especially if you're a Cardinal fan, a level of dominance out of this game, right? You want to see a level of dominance. It doesn't have to be 50-0, doesn't have to be 45-3. But if you can somehow win by 2 possessions, primarily two touchdowns, I feel like a lot of Cardinal fans will be a lot more optimistic about this season than as of right now. I still get the comments. Cardinals only winning 6-7 games. What are you talking about? I mean, if you break it down, no, I think the Cardinals can really win more. They can be a double-digit win team. They could be an absolute double-digit win team. It's just, are they going to be able to figure it out in the second half of the season? That's the big question. That's the big question. J Dubs in the chat saying Trey's an absolute nightmare for any corner, safety, or linebacker. I'd feed the crap out of him. McBride, yeah, I mean, I agree. And here's the thing. I don't think this is our game plan. I just think that that's the way Kyler Murray is wired. I think Kyler Murray's number one read is Trey McBride. Now, of course, I'm cool with it as well, as long as it doesn't affect injury. Obviously, knock on wood, right? He is our best pass catcher right now. Like, let's be real. Trey McBride is always freaking open. Always open. So this is not a bad thing to do, right? It's not a bad thing to have a Trey McBride. I love it. I really do. I would love to see a keep feeding Trey. It's just this game. And I don't know if you guys check out or don't know what I'm talking about, but every Tuesday on the NFC West Roundtable, we go live with every representative of the NFC West, 49er co-host, there's a Rams co-host and a Seahawks co-host, and then, of course, me representing the Cardinals. There's not a lot of optimism about not this game specifically. Everybody said the Cardinals are going to beat the Saints, right? Especially on that roundtable. But for the season, there's not a lot of optimism. Because guess what? The national media they're one of those guys. They're like, prove it. Prove that you can do it, right? And this is a prove it year. Absolutely a prove it year for QB1, Kyler. Edgar in the chat says McBride is my fantasy tight end. Michael is me too. So that's why I don't mind him being force fed, right? He's my tight end too. As well, not two. He's my tight end as well. But yeah, I mean, this game can be a trap game. It can be a trap game. On paper, it could be. Because Vegas has us winning. Everybody and their mother has us running over the Saints. Well, guess what? Their fan base is going to come into the Superdome excited, hyped up, just like every other fan base in week one, that there is a chance, right? You give somebody a chance, they'll take it. It's up to the Cardinals to go in there into New Orleans and take their lunch money. That's what I want to see from the Arizona Cardinals. Statement game. Going into week 2 versus the Panthers, taking their lunch money too. Now, obviously, they're a much better team on paper than the Saints are, but that's going to be our first home game. I don't want to look too far ahead, but this is the first step. Start off 1-0. Start off 1-0, and the season could start off on the right foot. Brandon in the chat. K1 has yet another opportunity to prove us, the fans, that he is the guy. So far, he has not shown that he's the guy. I mean, well, here's the thing, right? I have already been listed as a guy that doesn't want Kyler to succeed. I mean, and that's fine, right? That's okay. I mean, when you're doing this, right, and when you're kind of doing takes in real time and going based off of emotion, of course, the way that last year ended was very frustrating. It was not fun. It was not pleasant to be living in a world where we're seeing the same things over and over again, right? So there's a portion of the fan base that's like, oh, he doesn't want Kyler to say, no, that's far from the truth. I don't want to do another rebuild. I don't want to go because I know what the Cardinals rebuilds entail, right? I know how long it takes for us to be competitive again. No, I don't want that. I want him to succeed, but I also want him in the Cardinals organization. And now I'm starting to see people. Now I'm starting to see people when I was complaining about it last year and maybe a little bit before when he came back in the last 8 games. I was probably one of the very few, right? I do want him to succeed, but I need these things to be cleaned up in order for him to be that guy, right? Now the Cardinals are very invested in him. They have to be. They gave him a big time contract. So the Cardinals were not going to get rid of him or move on or anything like that. They are bought in financially into Kyler Murray for him to succeed. So we got to make it work. We got to make it work. And guess what? Making it work means we got to have Kyler Murray play like he's capable of and what makes him dynamic. What makes him dynamic? Well, his feet, his legs, right? His legs. He says he wants to run more. All right. Okay, cool. But also keep in mind if that opens up the playbook, there's also a risk of potentially injury, right? But that is what makes him dynamic. That is what makes him Kyler Murray. So I'm on board. Whatever gets us the wins. Whatever gets us the wins this year, I am 110% on board. Let's go with West saying, with an easy game like this, Kyler should feed Marvin Harrison Jr. once we got comfy lead, just so he can get comfy and get a little confidence boost with the state. When his stats are inflated, I'll give him an incentive to play good. Fair. Well, I mean, we were like on paper, we were gift wrapped at this game. On paper, we were gift wrapped. Now, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, it's any given Sunday at the end of the day, right? And just like Jonathan Gannon said earlier, and I'm not sure if you guys caught his latest press conference, this is what Jonathan Gannon ended up having to say about Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore usually beats Jonathan Gannon's defensive scheme, right? This is what Jonathan Gannon had to say about Kellen Moore.
Saw the other day, Kellen Moore had some serious praise for your defense and kind of the creativity you guys have. Does that mean anything to you to see that kind of praise from?
Not really. I have a high opinion of Kellen. If you go back and look at my track record against him, it's not good, truthfully. He's always had really good offenses. He's very creative. I love it. It makes it really hard on a defense how he calls the game. He's been a couple different stops, and his offense is playing away.
We're not going to play the whole thing, but pretty much saying that Kellen Moore has his number, right? Kellen Moore has got his number, and just the way that he uses his pieces, right, offensively, usually gets the best of a Jonathan Gannon defense. Now, granted, this is a Nick Rallis / Jonathan Gannon defense, so he even mentioned that. I'm not the one calling the plays, right? So it's a little different, but usually Kellen Moore has the upper hand when it comes down to JG versus Kellen because he's very smart, very strategic in the way he does things. Now, does he have the weapons offensively to do it? We mentioned it before. Their offense isn't bad. Their biggest unknown is their quarterback, but they got Alvin Kamara, they got Chris Olave, Cooks, Shaheed. Even their tight end is pretty solid, and Juwan Johnson. Their biggest unknown is Spencer Rattler. Can our defensive line / defense get back there and cause a lot of problems, right? That's going to be the big question out there. So this is going to be such a fascinating game because on paper, I wish I was going to say to myself that, like, yeah, I got all the 100% confidence in the world that the Cardinals are going to win 100%. And I do. Actually, I do. I'm actually 95, 98% positive that the Cardinals are going to win this game. But what are we going to see out of this game, right? That's where I'm a little murky, right? That's where I'm a little murky. Like, he could have the best game plan out there, and we can't stop their offense, right? I don't want to see Spencer Radler outperform Kyler. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Spencer Radler look like what CJ Stroud looked like in his rookie year against us. I don't want to see Spencer Radler play like Justin Fields when he beat us in Chicago. No, I don't want to see that. Defense needs to shut anything down, cause pressure, get to the quarterback, rattle his cage, and don't allow him to survey the field, step up the pocket, whatever the heck he does good, right? Keep him contained because he can run out of the pocket. He can. Keep him contained. That's what I would like to see from this defense. Smother. Now, we're going to give it points. I don't think we're going to shut them out. Their running back is way too good in Alvin Kamara. Way too good. And they got weapons. So they want to win this game as much as we do. They want to win this game as much as we do. But yeah, this is fascinating matchup, man. Fascinating matchup. Let me do a real quick break on our sponsors. My Valley Prince. Quick shout out to them. 30-second break.
Yo, Red Sea, you know how we rep the cards with pride every Sunday, so why not rep your own squad the same way? Whether it's your business, your team, or your crew, My Valley Prints has you covered with custom screen prints and embroidery right here in the desert. T-shirts, hats, hoodies, you name it. From clean logos to bold game day drip, they'll make your vision look like a first-round pick. Local, reliable, and always bringing that Cardinal level energy. Hit up myvalleyprints@yahoo.com or DM them via Instagram to get your gear started. My Valley Prints, built for the Valley, designed for you.
All right, another shout out here to My Valley Prince. Check them out via Instagram or reach out to them at myvalleyprince@yahoo.com. Another shout out here to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan throughout the entirety of the 2025 season. Sleeper. Use promo code AZSF. They will provide you with a 100% deposit match up to $100 upon signing up. They do everything on there, and I'm talking about fantasy football. You can even do higher or lower on there. You can, bet on fantasy stats, receptions, yards, well, you name it. Anything. Sleeper has you covered. And of course, I ended up whipping up this parlay here. I got Kyler Murray with a more 25.5 rushing yards. I think you want to use your legs. This is the best way to do it. Trey McBride, he's going to get more than 6.5 receptions. He's going to be force fed. Kamara is going to get himself a touchdown. I got that anytime touchdown. And then Saquon Barkley. I still believe in the truth of Saquon Barkley. So he's going to have more than 75 rushing yards. Make sure you check out Sleeper using promo code AZSF to get your 100% deposit match up to $100. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep this going. Let's keep this conversation happening. We got a lot of people here in the chat. We got West coming up with another one. Says the Cardinals actually made CJ Stroud struggle. Actually, Mike, I think Stroud threw 3 picks that game, and the Cardinals would have won if the field goal. That's fair. That's fair. I guess I was just talking about the win more than anything. That's fair. That's fair. Let's keep it going. Juan in the chat. Going to be a defensive game. I don't think so. I don't think so. I personally don't think so myself. I think this is going to be a offensive game for the Cardinals, or at least, or I'm hoping for, at least, right? Wes in the chat says, yeah, look it up. I know you might be right. There was a lot of interceptions, and I think CJ Stroud did have a not good game. Let me see if I can actually look it up here real quick. That was the last time we actually played them? Man, it's bringing up the other one. 2023. Here it is. And this was when Kyler Murray came back. Right? This is when Kyler Murray came back from his 8 games. So Kyler was 20 for 30, 214. CJ Stroud was 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So you're right. There was 3 interceptions thrown, but there was 2 touchdowns and 336 yards. I guess what I remember more than anything is that he outperformed Kyler throwing the ball in the air. I guess that's what I was going for. But I remember that they won. But yeah, CJ Stroud was 27 for 37, 336 yards, and 2 touchdowns, 3 interception. Kyler Murray in that game was 20 for 30, 214, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception in that game. So yeah. Cardinals lose 21-16. 21-16. Luck in the chat says, I have Cardinals completely blowing out the Saints. I hope so, man. I sure hope so. The Saints are in cap hell. I honestly think they might tank this year. I think they might too. I mean, there's a reason why they're probably going to start Spencer Rattler, or they are starting Spencer Rattler, and most likely we probably will see Tyler Shuck later on. I think we're going to see Tyler Shuck probably by midway through the season. I don't think the season's going to really work out for them. Like, if you look at the Saints' schedule right now, the New Orleans Saints have, oh man, the Saints are going through the NFC West. I didn't even notice this. The Saints have 3 back-to-back Saints NFC West games. Cardinals versus Saints, week 1. Week 2 is Cardinals versus 49ers. Week 3, I said Cardinals, didn't I? Let me rephrase that back. Cardinals versus Saints, week 1. 49ers versus Saints, week 2. Seahawks versus Saints, week 3. Ooh. The Saints are going to go through the NFC West ringer. And then after that, after the Seahawks in week 3, week 4 is the Bills. Week 4 is the Bills. Their schedule opens up a little bit with the Giants and then the Patriots. But man, this team could potentially have 3 losses, 4 to 3 losses, or 3 to 4 losses by the time week 4 is over. Wow. Everybody's going to get a chance at knocking around the Saints in the NFC West. Cardinals, 49ers, and then the Seahawks, weeks 1, 2, 3. I didn't even know that until I looked it up right now. Wow. Angel in the chat says, it can't be nothing but a blowout win, to be honest with you. We cannot have a close game against a bad team with a rookie head coach and a terrible quarterback. I agree. I want to see a blowout too. Minimal 2 scores. And that's not even a blowout on some people's minds, right? A blowout is more like 37-13, 37-10. That's more of a blowout to people. I'm willing to take 2 scores, 2 touchdowns primarily. But yeah, I agree. If the Cardinals win a close game, there's going to be a lot of questions. Why didn't we play in preseason more? Why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do that? It's going to be a lot of questions out there. So I agree. John says, Saints getting put in a blender. Absolutely. I didn't even realize how strong this season start was for them. Versus Cardinals, week 1. 49ers, week 2. Seahawks, week 3. Bills, week 4. Good God. Have mercy. Have mercy on those poor Saints. With the first pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Saints choose. Yikes. I hope so, Luck. Second game back from injury for Kyler. Yeah, that was his second game. Yeah, because we only had 2 wins at that point. What was Kyler's first win in that season? I know we only had 4 wins when he came back. Not 4 wins from him, but 4 wins in general that season. Oh, man, I'll try to... Where is this? Okay, 2023. So Kyler Murray comes back. It's 2023. We lose all these games. Lose. Okay, I remember Clayton Tune gets obliterated in the Browns. Oh, he comes back in the Falcons game. Kyler comes back in the Falcons game. He wins that one, 2 points. Second game, the Texans, loses that one. Loses the Rams, gets beat down by the Rams. Steelers, we beat the Steelers, so our second win was the Steelers. We get beat down by the 49ers. We get beat down by the Bears. Yikes. We beat the Eagles. Lose to the Seahawks. Yeah, so he got 3 wins in the last... So 8 games. Got 3 wins, and then we got that 1 win by Josh Dobbs. Let's keep this going here. J Dubs in the chat. What's up? Saints getting the number 1 overall pick would be crazy, especially if Arch comes out. Arch is from Louisiana. It would be a homecoming for them. I don't think Arch is coming out, man. Let me see what week 2 and week 3 has to hold. And I'm not like jumping off the gun saying, oh, Archie Manning shouldn't be. He's got some good things to work on, obviously. But one thing that I just noticed when I was watching, because I was watching college football with my dad, because it was my mom's birthday this last Saturday. He's 21 years old. 20, he's young. That's a young man right there. 21. I think what's best is keep developing. Stay in college for at least one more year. Now, if he has a crazy week 2, week 3, and therefore, and he goes into the playoffs, then maybe we can reassess then. But nah, I think he needs to go. I think he needs to do one more year. One more year, in my opinion. But like I said, let me see week 2 and week 3, and then I'll make a full assessment. It's really hard to kind of say that based off of one game, and that was against a Ohio State defense, which is really solid, really solid. Bro, yeah, no, you're not alone, man. You're not alone. What's up, man? ROI. Yo, Mike, I think the first Cardinals fan from Israel. Oh, there you go. Hell yeah. Appreciate you for chiming in. Let's keep this going here. Kyler played like versus the Chiefs, so I hope we start off strong. I wanted to see a little bit more of the starters myself. I wasn't gonna make a big deal of it, but I did want to see the starters a little bit more myself. Yeah, you're not alone. I wanted to see a little bit more. But yeah, going back to what we were talking about a little earlier, right? Key matchups. There's a lot of big key matchups that I'm excited for, right? Let me know what your guys' big key matchups. Let me know here in the chat below. Appreciate you guys for being here up and foremost. What are your big key matchups that you're really, really excited to watch? Really excited to watch. Let me know in the chat. But for me, I think the trenches is where this game is going to be won. The trenches, offensively and defensively. That's going to be where the trenches are going to be, or this game is going to be won in the trenches. I'm excited to see how our offensive line is going to shake out against their defensive line, because their defensive line is good. I wouldn't say great, but it's good. Jordan, Young, Brissy, they got some good pieces on the D line. So, how is our offensive line shake out against our defensive line? That's one big thing I'm really going to look forward to. How does our young cornerbacks shake out against their wide receivers? Cooks, Olave, Rashid, Shaheed, and then their tight end, Juwan Johnson, which is pretty solid. And then the last one is going to be how's our wide receivers, or I guess pass catchers, going to shake out against their secondary. Trey McBride's going to be fed. We know that. Trey McBride's going to eat. He's going to get his own, right? I hope we can see a touchdown or two, especially the guys that have Trey McBride on fantasy. Hopefully that would be good. Already having 2 touchdowns when you finished off the 2023 season with 2. Sorry, 2024 season with 2 would be nuts. Would be nuts. It would just be one of those things that, kind of a full circle moment. That would be awesome. But I also want to see Marv get involved as well. Quick, from the jump. What are your big matchups? What are your key matchups here? Lathan in the chat says Marv versus Kool-Aid. I do like Kool-Aid McKinstry. I don't know if he's, like, obviously I don't watch a lot of Saints football. I don't know if because he was a second rounder. He potentially could have been a first round pick, but he dropped to the second round. Saints picked him up, but I was really high out of him. I was really high on him coming out of Alabama. Now he's only 22 years old still, so that is going to be a really good matchup. It's going to be a really good matchup. Marv versus Kool-Aid. Yeah, I'm down with that. Is Demario Davis still playing? I think he is. Let me just double check. Yeah, he is. Yep. He's 36 years old though now. Yeah, big name. 6'2", 248, 36 years old, Demario Davis. Yeah, he is still playing. He's set to be one of their inside linebackers. He is. But he's getting up there. Let's keep it going here. Ryan in the chat. And I have a feeling that they're going to win a playoff game. Ooh, we've got some high praises here. Chris F in the chat saying the Saints are a great game for Kyler to get rid of the kinks and gel with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Zay Jones. The defense should be able to put pressure on Radler. Agree. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year? I don't know when, but what I would like to see is probably Eagles and not like to see. Let me rephrase that. Who I think is going to be in the Super Bowl is probably going to be Ravens, if they could ever freaking figure it out. Ravens and probably the Eagles. That's why I have it for the Super Bowl right now. And of course, go Ravens if that's the point. If that's the case. Hebe in the chat, stopping Alvin Kamara and Will Johnson versus Will Johnson versus Olave. Let's be real, man. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. Javier in the chat says, any watch parties at a pizza bar locally or a casino? The plan was at one point. It's just I don't know how Wi-Fi works any other place. Okay, that I know how Wi-Fi works. What I'm saying is that the unreliability of how good a Wi-Fi is, and I do not want to affect the stream looking bad, because I've seen a lot of people kind of go out of their studio or go out of the place that they actually stream from, and they go to a place locally, and the online experience is absolute dog water, because when you're outside, it's just there's a lot of not handleable Wi-Fi, like Wi-Fi that's able to handle streaming. So that's one thing that I'm a little worried about if I do something like that. Probably not a casino. Probably not a casino. But that's what I'm worried about. I don't want the online experience to get affected. Juan in the chat says, "Bro, I know we're gonna draft a QB this draft. Hopefully, Jacoby will teach them instead of Kyler." Well, let's just be positive, right? Let's just be positive. Let's hope that Kyler can get it right, right? Let's hope that Kyler can get it right, because that's another big matchup. Kyler versus this defense, right? That's another big matchup. Kyler versus this defense. Just like you guys in the chat said, this is a great start to the season for Kyler Murray. A very favorable matchup. Very favorable matchup for him. How is he going to come out here and play against this defense? Very favorable matchup. Lathan in the chat says, serious question, does Will Johnson follow team's number one wide receiver, or does Max Melton or Garrett? Well, here's the thing. We can only go based off what we've seen in the prior years, right? We can only go based off of that. Max Melton, I don't think he followed number one wide receivers last year. Now, granted, he was a rookie, right? He was a rookie last year. So you can't really, it's hard to assess. Will Johnson, we don't know what the game plan is, right? I'm assuming no, because he's a rookie. Maybe he's going to stay to a specific side. And Garrett Williams, which right now is our best cornerback, he is more of a slot cornerback right now. But we did hear Jonathan Gannon saying that he might play on the outside. So there might be a realistic possibility here that we might see Garrett Williams in a package where you don't see the nickel cornerback, but on the outside, right? But as of right now, none of these three guys has shown that they do follow that number one wide receiver right now. So I would say no. Right now, right? Obviously, things change within the season, but as of right now, I would say no. Brandon in the chat says if we do one, let's. Well, I mean, if we do one, if we're 3-0, that means we're taking down the 49ers. We'll see. We'll reassess. How about that? We'll reassess. For every pick Kyler throws, let's have a fan streak down the field. Woo! I ain't sure people try to go down for indecent exposure. I'm not sure about that. Let's see. Chris F in the chat says, I think the next Super Bowl matchup this year will be the Eagles and Bengals. Hey, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that. I would like to see Joe Burrow go back to the Super Bowl. I would like to see that. I really would. Um, I'm leaning on Lamar to finally get it right. It's just it doesn't seem like he's able ever to get there, right? Um, this is a good matchup though, but I think we both agree that the Eagles, right? I feel like the Eagles are still the best team in the NFC right now. I mean, the Rams could probably make a push for their money, and right now we don't know what the Cardinals are doing yet, but you never know, man. Things can change. Let's say the Cardinals do start off 3-0. Maybe they're like 5-2 by the time the bye week comes in, right? If we're 5-2 by the bye week, woo, we're talking crazy. We're talking crazy if we're 5-2 by the bye week, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking crazy. So let's see. Let's see how it goes. Keep it going in the chat. Juan in the chat says, Mike, 49ers are ASS. Don't let the roundtable make you think otherwise. I don't think they're good either, but I also don't think the Seahawks are that good either. So I don't think the Seahawks are that good either. I think they're being hyped up way too much with Sam Darnold. I think they're being hyped up way too much. I think the 49ers will probably still beat the Seahawks because of obviously recency bias of what we've seen. And I forgot to mention too, like, wait, that doesn't apply. Never mind. Yeah, that doesn't apply. Never mind. But yeah, I don't think the 49ers are going to do very much, but I do think they're going to be in games with division. So I don't know. I don't believe in the Seahawks. I honestly think I think the Texans are going to win. I'm going to be real. I think the Texans are going to beat the Rams. Call me crazy, but I think the Texans are going to beat the Rams. Seahawks 2, also the Rams are 1 injury away. True. Luck in the chest is realistic Commanders versus Bills. My Super Bowl prediction. Wow, my desire is Cardinals versus Steelers. Super Bowl prediction to get the wow. I don't know. I was wrong. I was wrong on Jaden before. I might be wrong again. I just don't know if he's gonna go past. Like he's probably gonna make the playoffs. Like they're at that. He's probably gonna do. I just don't know if he's gonna be able to beat the Eagles. I don't think they're there yet. Especially when you get rid of your number one running back and still don't really have a great option. Like their number one running back right now is probably Eckler. And I know people are talking about that rookie, like Jacory or something like that. I mean, I don't know what they're doing at the running back position. I really don't. Let's go with Steve. What's up, Steve? He says, wait, wasn't Kyler 8-9 in the games against the Chiefs? He only failed pass on the interception. Am I wrong? No, yeah, Kyler had a really good game with the exception of that interception. With the exception of that one interception. I still wanted to see more. And I was talking about maybe a start with the Broncos would have been more beneficial in the start, probably, or end potentially a start against the Raiders. So I still wanted to see it, but I think Kyler had a pretty solid game. Let's go with Brandon. What's up, Brandon? Says to be frank, I don't think we hold James Conner to a standard either. He needs another 1K yards and 10 touchdowns. I think he'll get there, man. I really do. Like, he's supposed to have like a split share with like Trey Benson. Now, what's that split share going to look like, right? Like, that's a big question out there, right? But I think it's going to be good, man. I think it's going to be good. I think we'll be all right. I think James Conner is going to be good. Whoa. I don't know what the heck happened there. All right. Let's do this. Let's keep it with the chat. I don't know where I just went. I gotta fix that screen over there. So I'll close up with the forehead. Jacory Krosky Merritt, that's his name. Reminds me of James Conner. I mean, we'll see. It's a bold move for them to get rid of their number one running back. Very bold. Do I still think they're going to be a playoff team? Yeah, I think whenever they got Jaden Daniels, and I think he's proven that last year. You got Jaden Daniels, you got an opportunity to make the playoffs. It's just, are they going to get over the hump and beat the Eagles? Like, that's the question, right? Are they going to get over the hump and beat the Eagles? That's the question. Cowboys, nah. Cowboys, they're cooked, man. Giants, they're still kind of rebuilding. They're going to give an opportunity to Jackson Dart maybe sometime during the season. We'll have to kind of wait and see how that shakes out. But right now, what's standing in our way? Right now, what's staring? Right now, what's standing in our way to hit the playoffs? What say you, chat? Right now, what's standing in our way to hit the playoffs? Right now. Because if we are talking about potentially a wild card team, there's going to be 3 wild card teams. And I'm looking at the NFC West. I'm sorry, not the NFC West. I'm looking at the NFC right now. Teams that are potentially going to be a playoff team, right? Commanders, Lions, Eagles, Packers, Bucks. Most likely Rams. There's one position available. It could go to the Vikings. Maybe another team in the NFC West, primarily, hopefully, Cardinals. So, I don't know. Our crazy division, fair. Rams. Cardinals. The inconsistency standing the Cardinals' way. Rams, Stafford. Fair. I wish. Oh, good lord. No. 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 I hope that's a troll. Well, I know, Randall, you're not a troll, right? Because you're always on here. But I mean, I hope that's a joke, I guess is what I meant to say. I hope that's a joke. I don't know Jerry Jones to be the GM of this team. No, heck no. I'm good. Inconsistencies. Yep, it is. Absolutely. Let's see. Bro, guys, Kyler lost both games to Geno last year. I've been on Kyler's train since Oklahoma, but he's not the guy. We'll see. Like I said, positivity is what we're preaching. This is the year, right? Let's hope he can get it right. Let's go with West. Plus, Kevin O'Connell is one of the best coaches in the NFL. So Sam downgraded, and honestly, good for him because if he succeeds, he gets paid really good for a long time. But if he fails, he at least got money. Fair. Okay. Okay. Javier in the chat says, you're saying Cliff to the playoffs again. Yeah, man. I mean, Cliff's doing a good job being an OC. He's doing a good job being an OC. Let's not get it twisted. I mean, he probably was an offensive guru still for the Cardinals as well. And we did have some pretty good highs with him as well. It's just the fact that he did not want to give up play calling. He was so set that this is what he wanted to do. He didn't want to get help. So now we're in the situation where we have to unfortunately watch our former head coach be the OC of what am I trying to say? Be the OC of the Commanders and yeah, potentially make another playoff push. There you go. All we can do right now is believe, man. That's all we can do. We'll reassess by the end of the season or halfway through the season, knowing me. I just hope that by the bye week, we can be at least 5-2 because we need to stack up as many wins as we potentially can. We need a buffer. Take a couple more comments. Closing up shop here pretty soon. Appreciate you guys for being here up and foremost. Actually, let's do this real quick. Let me just do a real quick shout out here to sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. Sleeper. If you want to use promo code AZSF, they will provide you with a 100% match deposit up to $100 on your first initial deposit. They do anything on there. Get your fantasy football league going. Okay, start off the mores and hires, right? Or the hires and the lowers, right? You got yards, receptions, fantasy points, anything. You can make a crazy slate. Using promo code AZSF, get you this first initial deposit up to $100. Everything will be in the description below of this video. Appreciate Sleeper. All right, let's do this. One last comment. Let's close up shop. Thank you guys for being here. One last comment. Let's close up shop. All right, let's go with Cards Fan. He says, I mean, he was a terrible head coach, so it doesn't really bother me knowing he's gone. It's good to see him succeed as an OC. I agree. Agree. Kyler is inconsistent no matter who is the coach. All right. Up to you. Up to you. All right, let's do this. Let's close up shop, ladies and gentlemen. You guys are all absolutely amazing. We got 4 days away. Thursday, which we got a Thursday night game. We got Friday. There's a Friday game too. So we got, out of the 4 days to wait, 2 of those days, or actually 3 days to wait, because that 4th day we got football. Out of those 3 days to wait, 2 of those days we got football. We're so back. We're so freaking back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, smack the like button on your way out. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. You guys are all absolutely amazing. Subscribe. We're on the road to 18K. Cannot do it without you guys. Subscribe it up. Appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Cardinals. Later.